They said you won't win. Nobody warns you about the silence. Not the silence of enemies that you can deal with. The silence of the people who were supposed to be in your corner. The ones who went quiet when you needed a voice. The ones who nodded politely and changed the subject every time you talked about your dream. The ones who smiled at your face and whispered behind your back that you were chasing something that was never going to happen. That silence is its own kind of violence. And if you have been living inside it, if you have been pushing forward with the weight of people's unbelief pressing down on your chest, then what you are doing right now is one of the bravest things a human being can do. Keep doing it. There's a version of this story where you quit, where the weight becomes too much and you put the dream down and walk away and tell yourself it was not meant to be. That version exists. It is real and it is possible, and it happens to people every single day. Good people, talented people, people who deserved better than what the world gave them. But you are not reading that version. You are reading this one. The version where you are still in it. The version where something inside you, stubborn and irrational and magnificent, refuses to accept that the story is over. Hold on to that thing. It is the most valuable thing you own. Let me tell you something about the people who made it that nobody puts in the highlight reel. They cried in the car. They lay awake at 3 a.m. convinced they were frauds. They refreshed their inbox waiting for a yes that did not come. They questioned everything, their talent, their timing, their sanity. They had whole weeks where nothing worked and whole months where they felt invisible. They were not immune to the darkness. They were not some superior breed who felt no fear and carried no doubt. They were people exactly like you, in rooms exactly like yours, fighting the exact same war you're fighting right now. The only difference between them and the ones who stopped is that they did not stop. That is the whole secret. That is all of it. You have to stop measuring your progress by what other people can see. The most important growth in your life is happening in places no one has access to. It is happening in the moment you choose discipline over comfort when no one is watching. It is happening in the decision to try one more time after a failure that embarrassed you. It is happening in the quiet revolution taking place in your mind, the slow, daily dismantling of every lie you were told about your own worth. Nobody can see that work, but it is the most real work you will ever do. And it is compounding. Every single day, it is compounding into something that the world will eventually be unable to ignore. Your story does not have to look like anyone else's to count. This is one of the most dangerous lies the world sells, that there is one shape for success, one timeline for achievement, one acceptable path to a life well lived. There is not. There never has been. The person who builds an empire at 25 is not more valid than the person who finds their calling at 50. The person who goes viral is not more valuable than the person who changes one life deeply and completely. Your version of winning is not lesser because it is quieter, slower, more personal, or more unconventional than what you see celebrated on a screen. Define your own win. Then go after it with everything you have. Comparison is the room where dreams go to suffocate. The moment you start measuring your chapter 1 against someone else's chapter 20, you have handed your power to a person who does not even know you exist. They are not thinking about you. They are not watching you struggle. They are busy doing the work. And the reason their chapter 20 looks the way it does is because they refuse to abandon their chapter 1 the moment it got hard. Stay in your own story. Write your own pages. The only comparison that matters is who you were yesterday against who you are becoming today. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the price of admission. Every person who has ever built something worth building paid with their failures. Paid in public embarrassment, in wasted time, in money lost, in relationships strained, in nights spent wondering if they had made the biggest mistake of their life. The failures were not detours from the path. The failures were the path. They were the education that no classroom could have provided. They were the specific, irreplaceable lessons that made the eventual success possible. You are not behind because you have failed. You are exactly where you need to be. The world will try to put a timeline on your life. Marry by this age. Successful by that one. Settled, established, arrived, all by a date that someone who has never lived your life decided was appropriate. Ignore it completely. There is no universal clock ticking over your head. There is only your life, your path, your pace, your particular combination of gifts and struggles and timing that belongs to no one else on earth. Some seeds take longer to grow. That does not make them less. That makes the fruit, when it finally comes, that much sweeter and that much more impossible to dismiss. The people who doubted you were betting on your past. They looked at where you had been and made a projection about where you were going. But they did not account for the one variable that makes every human life unpredictable: the decision. The single, sovereign decision that a person can make at any moment, without warning, that completely rewrites the trajectory of their life. They could not see that decision coming. They could not factor it in. And that decision, made by you, owned by you, acted on by you, is the thing that makes their prediction wrong. You're not your past. You're what you decide to do next. Somebody needs you to win. This is not abstract. This is not motivational language for the sake of it. There's a specific person, maybe a child who is watching you, maybe a younger version of someone in your community, maybe someone you have not even met yet, who needs to see your life as proof that it is possible. That someone from where you come from, carrying what you carry, having been through what you have been through, can make it. Your life is not just yours. It never was. Every time you refuse to quit, you are writing a permission slip for someone who desperately needs to believe that they are allowed to keep going too. There's going to be a moment, maybe you have already had it, maybe it is coming, where everything inside you says stop, where the exhaustion is so deep it lives in your bones, where the doubt is so loud it sounds like common sense, where walking away feels not like giving up, but like the only rational choice left. That moment is the most important moment of your entire journey. Not the wins, not the milestones. That moment, the one where you are completely emptied out and still choose to take one more step, that is where winners are made. Not in the highlights. In the darkest, most private, most unbearable moment of almost quitting, and then not quitting. You are allowed to grieve what the waiting has cost you. You are allowed to feel the weight of the years that felt lost, the opportunities that passed, the version of your life you imagined you would have by now. Feel it fully. Do not skip it. Do not paste affirmations over pain that has not been processed. Sit with it, acknowledge it, let it move through you. And then, when you have given it the space it deserves, stand back up. Because grief is not a destination. It is a passage. And what is on the other side of it is not weakness. It is clarity. It is the clean, uncluttered knowledge of exactly what you want and exactly why it matters and exactly how much you're willing to do to get there. The discipline you build in the hard seasons is the foundation of everything that comes after. When there is no applause, when there is no audience, when no one is checking in and the metrics are not moving and the results are not showing, the person who shows up anyway is the person who is building something that lasts. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is the deepest form of self-respect available to a human being. It is the daily declaration that you believe in where you are going even when where you are going cannot be seen yet. It is faith made practical. It is love for your future self expressed in present tense action. Every single morning is a new vote. A vote for the life you are building or the life you have been settling for. You do not have to fix everything today. You do not have to arrive today. You just have to vote correctly today for the person you are becoming, for the dream you are protecting, for the discipline you are building, for the story you are refusing to let end in someone else's chapter. One vote, every morning. That is how lives are changed. Not in grand dramatic moments, but in the accumulated weight of 1,000 small daily decisions to keep going. When it finally happens, and it will happen, it is already happening in ways you cannot fully see yet. You will look back at this exact season and understand everything. You will understand why the timing was what it was. You will understand what the struggle was building in you that easier circumstances never could have. You will understand why certain doors closed, why certain people left, why certain paths dead-ended in ways that felt like devastation, but were actually direction. You cannot see it yet because you are still inside it. But the view from the other side of everything you are enduring right now is going to be the most profound, most clarifying, most beautiful thing you have ever witnessed. Keep going until you can see it. You cannot see it yet because you're still inside it. But the view from the other side of everything you are enduring right now is going to be the most profound, most clarifying, most beautiful thing you have ever witnessed. Keep going until you can see it. They said you would not win. They build a case out of your circumstances and your setbacks and your starting point and your history, and they presented it like evidence. But evidence of the past is not a sentence on the future. You're not a verdict. You're not a statistic. You are not the sum of every time something went wrong. You're a living, breathing, still fighting human being who woke up today and chose again to stay in the game. And that choice, made again today, is the most powerful thing in the world. The win is coming, not because the universe owes you, not because wanting it badly enough is a guarantee, but because you're doing the work, you're staying in the room, you're becoming day by day and failure by failure and lesson by lesson, the person who is capable of holding what you are building toward. You're not just chasing a goal. You are growing into the human being that the goal requires. And that growth is real. It is happening. It cannot be undone. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to close this book. You're going to take one breath, long, slow, deliberate, and you're going to feel for just a moment the full weight of everything you have survived to be sitting here right now. And then you're going to stand up. You're going to walk back into your life. You're going to do the next thing, not the whole thing, just the next thing with everything you have got. And tomorrow, you're going to do it again. And the day after. Until the day comes when the people who said you would not win have to sit with what they said and watch what you became. That day is not a fantasy. That day is a destination. And you're already on your way. They said you would not win. They were wrong. Now go prove it.